Good morning. This is Jacob Bolton, Associate Pastor at Westminster Presbyterian Church, and I am leading us in our morning devotion. Now remember, I have been leading us through origin stories, and this morning we are going to discuss the origin story of a holiday that we actually observe this week that fits perfectly into our season of Easter post-resurrection. And that, of course, is that this Wednesday, we celebrate Earth Day. Now, this isn't just any old Earth Day with flower plantings or trash pickup service projects along the road. This week, we celebrate the 50th Earth Day. The very first Earth Day was celebrated in 1970. You see, scientist Rachel Carson wrote her New York Times bestseller, Silent Spring, in 1962. And her effort placed the environment and humanity's relationship with it, the way that our lives are lived out in relationship to it, at the forefront of the national zeitgeist. Eventually, leaders from both political parties worked together, championing issues that they all felt bettered the lives both of their constituents and the wildlife that lived there within as well. According to the official Earth Day website, Earth Day of 1970 achieved a rare political alignment, enlisting support from both Republicans and Democrats, rich and poor, urban dwellers and farmers, business and labor leaders. Now, unfortunately, Rachel Carson did not live to see Earth Day come to fruition. She died in 1964, only a few years after Silent Spring was published. So Rachel Carson only experienced a brief glimpse of the fame that she would accumulate, her legacy growing even more so after her early and untimely death. But Earth Day almost didn't happen. In fact, the writing of Silent Spring almost didn't happen. Rachel Carson, the author-scientist, almost didn't even happen. You see, Rachel Carson loved to write as a child growing up in rural Pennsylvania. She actually published her first work while still a teenager. She so loved the writing of Beatrix Potter that she wanted to be a writer as well. And yet when she went to college imagining that she would major in English and have a career in writing, Rachel Carson met a professor who introduced her to the world of biology. Miss Mary Scott Skinker was the biology teacher that inspired Rachel Carson to learn more about science, about chemistry, about biology. And Carson's academic career took a quick turn to the world of observation, data, inquiry, of hypothesis. Rachel Carson spent the next season of her life collecting samples, learning and studying the environment, and becoming an impressive leader in her field, breaking numerous gender barriers all throughout her career. But then she faced a crisis moment. Rachel Carson came to the realization that she couldn't share her scientific findings with a vast enough audience. So she went to a trusted friend of hers for advice. E.B. White, yes, the same E.B. White of Stuart Little fame, was a very good friend of Rachel's. While still a child, when Rachel was writing her earliest publications, she wrote those for a publication that E.B. White helped to edit. And so they started a dialogue. For the rest of their lives remained close. Knowing that she had a vast set of data regarding the way that chemicals were affecting plants and animals, Rachel Carson wrote to E.B. White, editor of the New Yorker at the time, and suggested that he use that data and write a series of articles about the effects of chemicals in the natural world. E.B. White suggested that Rachel Carson write those articles herself. She did. And that project eventually became what we now know as Silent Spring. And Silent Spring is what led us to the very first Earth Day. Beatrix Potter, Miss Mary Scott Skinker, E.B. White. Without them, Rachel Carson wouldn't have written the magnum opus that helped create the day we celebrate later this week. And so this Wednesday, when Earth Day is celebrated both for the 50th time, but also for the first time during a global pandemic, maybe the best way for us to celebrate isn't to plant some bulbs or to encourage our neighbors to do more recycling, to curl up on the couch, to read some Beatrix Potter, some Peter Rabbit, some E.B. White, some Charlotte's Web. Both describe the beauty of God's creation. Both helped inspire the woman who brought the world Earth Day. Much love, friends. Hold fast.